This segment of the news is brought to you by Sun Oil Limited.
Welcome back. The Roman Catholic Archdiocese of Nassau confirming this afternoon the death of Monsignor Preston Moss, who died at his Lakeview home today. Monsignor Moss was being treated for cancer of the stomach. He returned home from hospital abroad just this past weekend. Now, he was 79. The Archdiocese is expected to announce funeral arrangements soon. Very few issues have divided a nation as much as talk of the death penalty. Even within the Bahamas Christian Council, there are strong-held views on both sides of the divide. Well, in this report, our BJ McDermott tells us where the BCC leader stands, why, and what he makes of a European NGO leader's call for it to be abolished.
The controversial death penalty has a proponent, but for Christian Council President Bishop Delton Fernander, it's not just about throwing support behind the capital punishment. It's really a matter of how it can be administered, and he's leaning on the side of lethal injections.
The law is on the book, and the person fits that category and has gone through all of the appeals. I'm always one for also clemency. That sometimes, as we are seeing today, the system can be skewed towards those who have money and those who do not have money. And these things should be taken very seriously, and it should be the last resort.
The Christian Council President's comments follow those expressed by Executive Director of Together Against the Death Penalty, Raphael Shinuel Hazan, who recently urged the Minister administration to break away from the death penalty, as well as what he called the fake solidarity that seems to be preventing the Bahamas from becoming an abolitionist state. Mr. Shinuel Hazan also believes keeping the law and not using it is a bad practice, while Bishop Fernando thinks his comments are misguided.
I think he is far removed from the Caribbean, and when he comes to the Bahamas and begins those conversations, he will see the reality that on the ground it isn't fake. There is a serious support for the death penalty in the Bahamas. Now, some might be moving towards away from hanging and more calling for lethal injection. But the laws will have to be changed for that to be taking place. But his opinion will be changed, I believe, when he comes to the Bahamas, that it's not fake, it's a real support for death penalty.
Then there are the concerns of international bodies possibly shunning the Bahamas for using the death penalty. To that, Bishop Fernando said small developing countries like the Bahamas tend to be bullied.
And they haven't really found the secret to working with third world nations, which is education, coming along, empowering, getting involved in the societies. That's how you change mindsets. That's how you change a nation's view of something. It's not coming in as like that bully in the classroom that puts you in the corner and say, give me your lunch money or else I'm going to beat you. And that's always the stick they hold over us. We're going to cut you out of this. We're going to stop you on that. If you don't sign this, or if you don't do that. I think the temperature in the Bahamas has changed tremendously towards international organizations.
David Mitchell was the last man executed in the Bahamas. That was back in 2000. Mitchell was convicted of killing 2 German tourists. Reporting for JCN News, I'm Berthany McDermott.
Several people charged and subsequently fined over the weekend after Public Works Minister Desmond Bannister filed charges in his capacity as the minister with responsibility for the operation of garages and buildings regulations. Some 14 people were brought before a magistrate court for contravention of the Garage Licensing Act and Building Regulations Act. 2 of them were charged with 2 counts of building without a permit and renovations to a building without an approval, which is contrary to the Building Regulations Act Chapter 200 and the Planning and Subdivision Act 2010. Meantime, 12 others were brought on charges of operating illegal garages. Fines were imposed on those who pleaded guilty. They were further given an opportunity to clean up their properties within a certain period of time. Trial dates were fixed in the case of those who pleaded not guilty. The next few days set aside to highlight the real impact of the digital world when it comes to shopping online or paying bills. Consumer Rights Week highlights how important it is to put the needs and wants of the consumer at the heart of the development of digital products and services. Here's Executive Director of Consumer Protection Commission and Chairman of World Consumer Rights Week, Ricardo DeVoe.
From smartphones and meters to wearable fitness trackers, voice-activated assistants, smart TVs, and smart security systems, apps usage, and privacy. Many of the products we use are increasingly becoming connected by default. This year, World Consumer Rights Day will highlight what consumers want and need from a connected world. and how important it is to put them at the heart of the development of these digital products and services.
As companies like BPL and Water and Sewage are set to go paperless, leaving everything to the World Wide Web, many of you may be skeptical making purchases and/or payments online using your credit card. Well, CPC Research Officer Lavad Darling says the Data Commission will also use this week to showcase what is being done to secure data.
The major concern as it relates to smart products is that they're connected by default, right? And that is their fault, right? So automatically your smartwatch, automatically your smart TV, your smartphone, they automatically connect to the internet. Not only are they connecting to the internet, they're talking to one another. It's called the Internet of Things. So the concern is really about data security. Who are they talking to? Who is your data being shared with? Right, that is the concern of the international consumer movement. I think it's the major consumer protection issue when you're talking about data protection, security of your data. Right, the data belongs to you as your personal information. Right, smartphones now, they contain a lot of information. They have all of your digital information, they have your financial information, your personal information. All that information are actually stored on your smart products. Right, so the threat begins when a hacker hacks into your smartwatch, right? Because it doesn't have the security mechanism of your smartphone. But because that watch is connected to the other connected items in your home, it presents a possible security breach or security threat. Right? And that's what the international movement is actually concerned about.
This week will also provide junior and senior business and commerce students with first-hand knowledge on consumer education awareness and smart products. A special ceremony and exhibition at the Mall at Marathon on Wednesday will lead the way to World Consumer Rights Day, which will be celebrated on Friday, March 15th. This year's theme, Trusted Smart Products. Our final story is up next.
This segment of the news has been brought to you by Sun Oil Limited.